Student friends, in yesterday's lecture, we studied the concept of double sideband and single sideband, in which we studied the power saving technique during the electronic communication process. As carrier wave contains the two-third power, but it doesn't contain any signal. So, transmission of carrier wave directly from transmitter to the receiver will waste the power. So that's why it is suppressed. And whatever remaining two bands are there, so that forms contains the signal as well as one-third power. And that can be used for the purpose of communication. This is the one aspect that we have studied in DSB. And this is obtained by using either by ring modulator circuitry or by using push-pull balanced modulator circuitry. Then we also studied that as a being DSB is a complicated process, it is a costlier one. It will increase the designing strain. That's why it is used only within the broadcasting region. To undergo long distance communication, out of these two sidebands, that is upper sideband or lower sideband, one of the sideband is again suppressed because both the sideband contains the same signal. By using only one sideband, one can undergo the communication so that the remaining sideband can be used for other type of signal communication. And this is known as single sideband concept. This is achieved by designing proper filter circuitry or by using the phase shift method. One can use only one sideband for the purpose of electronic communication. Friends, today we are going to consider the concept of vestigial sideband. Friends, DSB and SSB which were studied, those are used for general electronic communication. But as far as VSB, that is a vestigial sideband, is there, it is used only for the television communication purpose. In television communication, bandwidth reducing technique is used. And within that particular reduction, some out of one sideband, some part is also removed. Some part of also is going to be avoided from the point of view of transmission. That some part we can call it as it is a vestige. And that's why whatever the remaining band is there, it is called as vestigial sideband. In television communication, audio and video, both the signals are going to be communicated. Both needs the almost all bandwidth of 10 megahertz. If you use a SSB technique, out of 10 megahertz, almost all 3 megahertz bandwidth is reduced. And that 3 megahertz reduction, it is called as vestige. And remaining 7 megahertz is used for audio as well as video communication as far as television signal communication is being considered. Because of that vestige, it is called as vestigial sideband. This means, first of all, double sideband is obtained. By filtering technique, SSB is obtained. From SSB, certain part where almost all the low frequencies DC level signals are common in both the sidebands, one sideband is taken completely, that is of 5 megahertz. From the remaining sideband, some part it is taken So that is called as vestige. 5 megahertz plus something 2 megahertz, that forms a 7 megahertz bandwidth. It will save the 3 megahertz bandwidth, and that is valid only for the television communication. Dear students, let us see in detail. In television communication, picture bandwidth is of 5 megahertz. If transmission is done by normal broadcasting, that is by DSB technique, 10 megahertz bandwidth is required. To reduce the bandwidth under normal broadcasting condition, one sideband is completely transmitted, and for other sideband, some part is transmitted. Some part means it is vestige. That remember. Vestige is used for transmission to get 7 megahertz bandwidth. Means one sideband is completely transmitted, whereas as far as from the remaining sideband, some part is taken, that is 5 megahertz complete, and something 2 megahertz it is going to be taken. So that forms a 7 megahertz bandwidth. So instead of using 10 megahertz, 7 megahertz bandwidth is used for the television communication, which will reduce the bandwidth of television communication signal. From bandwidth diagram, we say whole upper sideband is transmitted to get the bandwidth of 5 megahertz. But for lower sideband, as television signal contains DC level signal frequency, instead of suppressing completely, part is suppressed, and remaining part, known as a vestige of the sideband, it is transmitted. So from the band diagram is here. Look at it. This is the band diagram. This is the carrier. On this side there is a USB. On this side there is a LSB. So this is what we can call it as carrier. It is represented having highest power. This is a USB, upper sideband full. From this there is a LSB. Upper sideband is fully considered, that is SSB up to this. From lower sideband, some part it is taken. It is cleaved at 1.25 megahertz frequency. Means this 1.25 megahertz, this 5 megahertz, 6.25 megahertz, but at 5 megahertz, sound carrier is introduced. At about 5.5 megahertz, sound carrier is there, and after that, within 5.25 megahertz, a guard band is there. So 5.75 plus 1.25, 7 megahertz bandwidth is going to be gets generated. Once again I will repeat. Look at 0 to 5 megahertz here. It is total USB. At 5.5 megahertz, sound carrier is introduced. It is written as a S. So this is a picture carrier which is represented. So therefore we have to consider 5.5 megahertz. After that, a 0.25 megahertz guard band is being used. So totally it is 5.75 megahertz plus 1.25, that is a 7 megahertz from this to this. 7 megahertz bandwidth is generated. Out of lower sideband, some part it is taken, it is called as vestige. And hence this entire bandwidth we can call it as it is a vestigial sideband. Otherwise what will happen? Otherwise lower sideband of 5 megahertz, upper sideband of 5 megahertz, totally 10 megahertz bandwidth is required. So due to this particular constraint of vestigial sideband, the bandwidth is reduced from 10 megahertz to 7 megahertz. How 7 megahertz? 5 megahertz picture carrier, no doubt about that. At 5.5 megahertz sound carrier, and at 5.75 megahertz there is a guard band. So totally this is 5.75 megahertz, and from lower sideband 1.25 megahertz clipped frequencies taken, because these are the lower level frequencies, DC level frequencies. It is, instead of wasting that, these are also to be considered for the communication. So thus 5.75 plus 1.25, that becomes 7 megahertz. This is what we can call it as, it is the channel bandwidth, which will save 4.25 megahertz band space in the communication process. This is how one can obtain the 7 megahertz bandwidth, that is known as vestigial sideband. Friends, let us continue. In this particular VSB technique, 0 to 0.75 megahertz signal is present on both sideband. Means what? 0 to 0.75, 0 to 0.75 on this side as well as on this side. Both these signals are present in both the sidebands. It is to be considered, because these are DC level signals which are necessary for the purpose of communication. So that's why in VSB 0 to 7.75 megahertz signal is present in both the sideband, while above 0.75 megahertz up to 5 megahertz signal are only in the upper sideband. Means from where? Okay, from 0.75 to this, it is only from the upper sideband. Try to understand it. Hence upper sideband is fully transmitted and lower sideband is passed only from 0.75 megahertz. The LSB is suppressed at 1.25 megahertz and USB is attenuated at 5.5 megahertz. Why attenuated? At 5.5 megahertz, sound carrier is introduced. From lower sideband 1.25, from upper sideband 5.5 megahertz, including sound as well as picture. That forms almost all 6.75 megahertz bandwidth up till now. The sound carrier with the deviation of plus or minus 50 kilohertz is inserted at 5.5 megahertz. Thus, it allows bandwidth of 7 megahertz from 1.25 megahertz to 5.75 megahertz with 0.25 megahertz guard band. So thus the bandwidth is reduced from 10 megahertz to 7 megahertz. Some wastage, some part of LSB is used. So that's why this kind of concept is known as vestigial sideband, and that can be used only for the television communication. It is not used for the rest of the type of electronic communication. Dear students, that's all about understanding of the concept of the vestigial sideband. Student friends, let me proceed further to deal with another type of modulation. Dear students, please remember that up till now we have completed the amplitude modulation as a one of the type of analog modulation. Just I will summarize it. In amplitude modulation, we studied its definition, its mathematical analysis, waveforms, frequency spectrum, power distribution, concept of DSB, concept of SSB, and concept of VSB also. So that's what you have to remember regarding the amplitude modulation. Student friends, here onwards we are going to consider the frequency modulation. Is another type of analog modulation. To understand the definition of frequency modulation, we can say frequency modulation is a process in which frequency of high frequency carrier wave is varied in accordance with that of instantaneous amplitude of the signal to be communicated or signal to be transmitted. This is the definition of frequency modulation. In case of amplitude modulation, power varies. In case of frequency modulation, power remains constant. That is the basic difference. Here power doesn't changes. In amplitude modulation, change in power that takes place. Again, we will repeat the definition of the frequency modulation, and that is frequency modulation is the process in which the frequency of high frequency carrier wave is changed, is varying in accordance to the instantaneous amplitude of the modulating signal, or the signal to be communicated or signal to be transmitted. Means here frequency of high frequency carrier wave changes. Frequency of carrier wave changes in accordance with that of amplitude of the modulating signal. In amplitude modulation, amplitude of high frequency signal changes in accordance with that of instantaneous amplitude of the signal to be modulated. That is the difference. Here, amplitude is constant, that's why power is constant. We are considering the mathematical analysis of the frequency modulation. Let us begin with that. Frequency modulation is the process of varying the frequency of high frequency carrier wave in proportional to the instantaneous amplitude of the modulating signal, or signal to be communicated or signal to be transmitted, without varying the amplitude of the carrier wave. Means here amplitude remains constant, frequency changes. As amplitude is constant, power in frequency modulated wave is constant. FM means frequency modulated. Please do remember. This aspect is going to be represented in the waveforms. We are going to see those waveforms within a short time. That's why we can say, I shown in the waveforms of the frequency modulated wave. When modulating signal is 0, modulating frequency is equal to carrier frequency. Look at here. When amplitude of the modulating signal is 0, then modulated frequency is equal to the carrier frequency. When modulating signal reaches to the peak positive, when modulating reaches to the peak positive, frequency of modulated wave becomes maximum, that is Fc plus delta F. At negative peak of modulating signal, when modulating signal reaches to the negative peak, the frequency of modulated wave becomes minimum, that is Fc minus delta F. Delta F is change in frequency. Thus, Fm makes frequency of the FM wave to deviate, means change from Fc by plus or minus delta F. Means carrier frequency changes by plus or minus delta F. For peak amplitude of modulating signal, it becomes Fc plus delta F. For negative peak of amplitude, it becomes Fc minus delta F, where delta F is deviating frequency. During this modulation process, power doesn't changes, but part of carrier power is transmitted to the sideband. This is what exactly the modulation means. When modulating signal amplitude is 0, then frequency of the modulated wave is equal to the carrier frequency. When modulating signal reaches to the peak positive, then modulated frequency becomes Fc plus delta F. When modulating signal amplitude reaches to peak negative amplitude, then modulated signal becomes equal to Fc minus delta F, where delta F is the frequency deviation or change in frequency. In every time, either peak positive or peak negative of the modulating signal, The frequency of the carrier wave changes by plus delta f or minus delta f. This indicates that there is a variation in frequency of carrier wave that takes place, whereas the power remains constant. This is what the meaning of the frequency modulation. We are going to see all these by using the waveforms. To draw the waveforms, we will proceed mathematically. Let the modulating signal be EM is the modulating signal as we have referred in case of amplitude modulation also. EM equal to capital EM cos of omega mt, say equation 1. It is the modulating signal. And the carrier wave signal B EC, that is carrier wave voltage, equal to capital AC into sine of omega ct plus theta. Here phase change that is represented. Let me call this as equation number 2. This is the carrier wave, this is the modulating signal, where omega ct plus theta is the total phase angle phi, and theta is the initial phase angle. Theta is the initial phase angle, whereas phi is the total phase angle. Phi is equal to omega ct plus theta. Phi is equal to omega ct plus theta is angular velocity is the rate of change of total phase angle phi. Now we are going to obtain the angular velocity. By definition, angular velocity is rate of change of total phase angle phi. So we have to obtain the rate of change of phi. We have to differentiate this equation with respect to t so as to get the angular velocity. With that aspect, we can say omega c, that is angular velocity, is given as d phi by dt. After frequency modulation, angular velocity of the carrier wave varies, means frequency varies in proportional to the instantaneous amplitude of the modulated signal. This is the definition of the frequency modulation. With this particular definition, angular velocity changes, means frequency changes with instantaneous amplitude. By that definition, we can get instantaneous angular velocity equal to omega c plus k into Em. Omega c, as we have defined, it is d phi by dt. Em, k is proportionality constant and Em is the modulated wave equation. So that's why we can write it omega c plus k into Em. Em, by using equation 1, one can write it k into capital Em cos of omega mt. Let me call this as equation number 4, where k is the proportionality constant. For cos of omega t equal to plus or minus 1, this cos of omega t is varying between plus and minus 1. Maximum frequency shift occurs. For cos 0 it is plus 1, for cos 180 it is a minus 1. In that particular case only, the maximum positive peak and negative peaks are going to be obtained. So that's why we can say maximum frequency shift that occurs, means fc plus delta f and fc minus delta f. Thus equation 4 becomes omega c plus or minus k into Em. Because maximum shift is for cos omega t equal to plus and minus 1. But frequency deviation is given as Kem upon twice pi. Delta f equal to Kem upon twice pi. Kem is equal to delta f into 2 pi. Putting the value of Kem in equation number 5, we can get omega I equal to omega c plus or minus 2 pi delta f. Into cos of omega mt. Putting this in equation number 4, equation 4 becomes omega I equal to omega c plus or minus 2 pi delta f cos of omega mt. If you integrate this, we can get the phase angle of Fm, that is phi I equal to integration of omega I with respect to dt. That means integration of omega c plus or minus 2 pi delta f cos of omega mt into dt. After integration, we can get it integration of omega c, it is omega ct. 2 pi delta f, it is a constant. Therefore, integration of cos of omega t, it is omega m into sine of omega mt. Integration of cos, it is sine of omega mt, which can be simplified as omega ct plus 2 pi delta f upon omega m is 2 pi fm. It is replaced into sine of omega mt. 2 pi will cancel and we can write it as omega ct plus delta f upon fm into sine of omega mt. Let me call this as equation number 7. The instantaneous amplitude of the FM modulated wave E mod is given as EC into sine of phi I. Putting the value of phi I from equation number 7, we can get E mod equal to capital EC sine of phi I. It is omega ct plus delta f upon fm sine of omega mt. Let me call this as equation number 8. In this particular equation number 8, it is a modulated equation actually. It is a modulated equation. So that's how we have performed the mathematical analysis. Here, the term delta f upon fm, it is called as the modulation index of frequency modulated wave. It is denoted by mf. The ratio of frequency deviation delta f to the modulating frequency fm, that is delta f upon fm, is a modulation index of fm modulated wave and denoted by mf. Therefore, for given frequency deviation delta f, modulation index varies with fm. If delta f is constant, modulating frequency varies with FM modulation. Therefore, equation 8 becomes replace delta f upon fm by mf. E mod becomes equal to EC sine of omega ct plus mf sine of omega mt. Let me call this as equation number 9. So this is what you can call it as modulated equation. By using equation number 9, by using equation number 1 and by using equation number 2, equation number 1, equation number 2 and equation number 9, we can get these particular waveforms. Here we are going to understand the frequency modulation. So this is a modulating signal, that is Em equal to capital Em cos of omega mt, represented by equation number 1. This is the carrier wave, which is represented by equation number 2, that is EC is equal to EC sine of omega ct plus theta. Theta is the initial phase angle, omega ct plus theta is the total phase angle. By undergoing the frequency modulation represented by the equation number 9, that is E mod equal to EC plus, look at here, sine of omega ct plus mf sine of omega mt. This equation number 9 represents the modulated wave equation. This equation, this one, it is a modulating signal. This one, green color, carrier waveforms, and blue color, it is frequency modulated signal, what we are observing here. Look at here. When modulating signal amplitude is 0, then modulated wave has the frequency equal to carrier wave frequency. Look at here. It is same as that of the carrier wave. There is nothing difference. But when modulating signal reaches to the positive peak, this is the positive peak, then here frequency increases. Frequency increases, time decreases. This increase in frequency is by Fc plus delta F. But when modulating signal reaches to the negative peak, this is the negative peak, here modulating signal have got a carrier frequency decreases as there is an increase in time. This decrease in frequency is by Fc minus delta F. And same thing it is repeated as the amplitude of the modulating signal that varies. Where if you look to the amplitude of the modulated wave, it remains constant throughout. These are called as the waveforms related with the frequency modulated wave. Equation 1 will represent modulating signal. Equation 2 represents the carrier wave. Equation 9 represents the modulated wave that indicates how the frequency modulation that takes place. Friends, that's all about the mathematical analysis of frequency modulation. One thing it is clear that after frequency modulation, only frequency of the high frequency carrier wave changes, but its amplitude remains constant so as to keep the power level constant, which we have studied from the mathematical analysis, especially from equation number 1, equation number 2 and equation number 9, and also by observing the waveforms by definition of the frequency modulation. Now we are going to shift slightly to study its frequency spectrum. When we expand equation number 9, that is E modulation equal to EC sine of omega Ct plus MF sine of omega mt, we get different frequency components. FM wave contains infinite number of sidebands. Please do remember, FM has got infinite number of sidebands, but AM has got only 2 sidebands. That is upper sideband and lower sideband. Here infinite number of sidebands are present. Each sideband is separated by FM from each other. Out of these sidebands, only few sidebands carry significant amount of power. Remaining sidebands have very low power, can get attenuated, do not carry any message to the receiver. Usually, the sidebands having the amplitude 5% of the carrier wave are significant. So these are represented here. Look at here. Sidebands depends upon modulation index of the frequency modulated wave. Here modulation index is 0.5. For 0.5 modulation index, it has a 2 sidebands. Number of sidebands are 1, means USB and LSB. When modulation index becomes 1, modulation index means delta F of 1 FM. When it becomes 1, the sideband becomes double on both the sides. When modulation index becomes 2, the sidebands becomes 4 on both the sides. When modulation index 4, the sideband becomes 5 on both the sides. This number of sidebands in frequency modulated wave, it is going to depend upon what? It is going to depend upon modulation index. So here only 5% of sidebands are capable to transmit the signal. What is it? Usually sidebands having the amplitude 5% of the carrier are significant. Rest of them are unable to carry the signal. That is the situation which is going to existing as far as frequency modulation is being considered. Dear students, that's all about the frequency modulation, its definition, its waveforms, its mathematical analysis, and also the meaning of the frequency spectrum. Student friends, that almost all we have completed the analog type of modulation up till now. 2 types of modulations thoroughly we have completed. One is amplitude modulation, and second one is the frequency modulation. In next forthcoming topics, we are going to see the concept of digital modulation. Today we will stop.